Et in Arcadia Ego. By pure coincidence, I've just named my island on Animal Crossing New Horizons, Arcadia. Hi, I'm Phil, welcome to my channel where I talk about all the geeky pop culture that I love. We're nearing the end of Picard reviews now. This one and one more to go, with the first part of the season finale, Et in Arcadia Ego, Part 1. If you're curious what that translates to, it's, according to Google Translates anyway, which admittedly isn't the best source, but, you know, rough translation, and in Arcadia I am. And Arcadia is a Greek sort of term, meaning harmony with nature. But yeah, we are in the season finale now. Now let me know in the comments below what kind of Star Trek content you'd like me to do after these reviews, because there'll be a little bit of a gap before Discovery Season 3 kicks off, and I'll be doing reviews of those, of course. But, you know, what kind of content do you want Star Trek-y in the meantime? I can do some lists, I can do some lists. No, I can probably do more stuff than lists. Maybe, I don't know. What would you like to see? I can do some other Star Trek content, not just reviews. So, spoiler-free thoughts first on this episode. It's not my favourite episode, to be honest. It's in the lower half, I think, of the rankings of this season. Hey, that's a video I could do. I could do a ranking of the episodes of this season. Might do that. Yeah, it's not that it was terrible. It's not that there wasn't some good things in there. There were some good things which I really enjoyed in this episode. But there was also a lot where I felt there was wasted potential, particularly with the characters that were related more to the Borg Q plot. There was... what else was there? There was... yeah, some really awkward feeling moments between characters that... I guess awkward is kind of what they were going for, but it just didn't quite make sense with what we've seen so far from the characters. And yeah, so overall, this episode had a few flaws for me. But there was some good stuff as well. There were some interesting ideas explored, as Star Trek often does. You get, you know, some interesting moral quandaries explored. And in this episode, particularly, it was sort of around the... sort of the logic of sacrifice. And that, I thought that was explored very well. Kind of got, you know, as Star Trek does, this sort of discussions between characters on the moral dilemma. Got some, seeing some of the ramifications of one of those actions. It was an interesting thing which we may talk about more in the spoiler section. And let's get to the spoiler section. So, as I alluded to, there was this whole bit with the Borg cube that didn't really go anywhere. And hopefully, I really hope that in the next episode that they do go somewhere with the characters that they brought along, because the Borg cube that 7 of 9 and Elnor, I've remembered his name finally, Elnor was on, along with the X-Borgs, and there was just sort of, they just arrived, they had a little conversation with Picard, and they didn't really add anything to the plot. They kind of felt a bit wasted in this. Now, this may not be an issue, because a lot of this episode kind of felt like it was really setting up for the next part. So this may not be an issue if, depending on how they're used in the next episode. I presume they're going to be, because why bring them all this way? Why have them travel for a transwarp conduit to get to this place if they're not going to be used in the story you're telling? So I'm assuming they're going to be used in the part 2, and depending on how they use them, it may retroactively make me not mind the fact that they weren't used that much in this episode, that they kind of felt a bit superfluous and they were just sort of thrown in there to set up that they're going to be next episode. But we'll see how they're used. We of course got Brett Spiner as one of Noonien Sung's children, which I don't think we knew he had before, which struck me as a little bit strange that they're just throwing in this descendant that we'd never heard of before. Data had never mentioned having a sort of biological brother. We obviously knew he had other artificial brothers, Lore, B4, but never mentioned a biological brother. Did he not know about him? Did he not? I don't know, it seems strange that we hadn't seen him before. But what it did do is get to show off Brett's amazing acting abilities here, because he is such a great actor at playing different characters. This person felt nothing like Data. If anything, I say he slightly felt a bit like Lore. I've seen some wild theories that maybe think he is Law, although I don't know how that tracks with the aging. But maybe, who knows? And we've seen him, play other characters. Obviously, he was very different as the ancestor to Noonien Sung in the Enterprise episodes. So we saw him play a very different character there, a very conniving character. This guy kind of feels like he's slightly morally dubious, but his heart's kind of in the right place. Like, he might take some actions that we wouldn't agree with, but he does it because he thinks he's doing the right thing, as opposed to... Well, I suppose the guy from Enterprise kind of did a bit as well, but he had a bit more of an evil streak to him. A bit more of a ruthless streak. Anyway, my point is that he's very good at playing multiple different characters. And that's something we've gotten a lot from this series, actually, thinking about it. You've got Rios. The guy that plays Rios plays all the holograms as well. You've got the actor who plays Daj, Soji, the Karma. She's played multiple characters. It seems to be a thing in this series that a lot of actors are getting to really stretch their acting ability and play completely different characters. And all three of them have done it really well, I think. So the awkward bit that I was alluding to earlier was the whole Raffi Picard declaration of love thing. According apparently to Patrick Stewart, that was the declaration of romantic love from him. I don't know, it seems very strange. The relationship we've seen them have so far, to me, felt more parental, and therefore, you could understand a parental love between them, but a romantic love seems very strange, and it definitely was framed and like it was a declaration of romantic love in the scene itself, and like I say, Patrick Stewart has apparently confirmed that from his perspective it was romantic love. So I don't know, it just seemed really out of nowhere and very odd. But if that's, it just didn't quite ring true for me. We'll see where it goes, I guess. We got a lot more reveals of what's going on in this episode as well. We know now that there is this race, this synthetic race that is going to come in and potentially, or at least everyone believes, wipe out organic races to protect other synthetic races. They kind of act as a protector, waiting to be called in by the synthetic races of the universe in order to act as a sort of enforcer and protector to protect those synthetics against the organics. And the assumption of everyone is that how that's going to be is to wipe the organics out. It's, it's certainly a very... I gather from other people, I've not played the game, but I gather it's very Mass Effect-like. There is a similar thing in Mass Effect. I likened it a bit to Battlestar Galactica last time, although the whole this has happened again, this has happened before, will happen again thing. So, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if they can put their own spin on it, to see if they make it unique enough to have been worth doing, or if it's going to feel a bit like a copy of stuff that has gone before. I'm intrigued by what they've revealed so far, and it is, certainly done it in a very Trek way, because it's brought up loads of ethical dilemmas that have been discussed, as I mentioned earlier, in a kind of very Star Trek way. You've had your discussions about what's the right thing to do, and characters making decisions about which way they're going to go, and we see the repercussions of those. We obviously had the debate between, or the conversation between Picard and Soji about, the ethics of sacrifice and the morals of sacrifice and the logic of sacrifice. Even I think it was logic, wasn't it? It was the logic of sacrifice. It was a really interesting discussion. Then she goes in a direction that Picard hopes she wouldn't, and events spiral. Picard gets captured, detained by the synthetics, and the synthetics decide, led by, sort of manipulated even by Karma, to call in this other race after she finds out from reading Agnes's mind what the message was. So she makes a decision that they're going to call in this race, and she sort of does a kind of very propagandary type speech, manipulating people with fear, manipulating her other synths with fear, sort of othering the organics. It's a theme that I think is ripe for exploration, and I can see this might be one of the things that Patrick Stewart was talking about when he was saying that this explores things that are very relevant to us as a society today. You know, using othering of people to get your own political gains through is a very moment, sort of thing of the moment, really, as it has been throughout history. It's not just now, but it is absolutely something we see today, going ahead all the time. So it's interesting that they're exploring it here. I'm interested to see where it goes as well. And for me, that was one of the better bits of the episode, this sort of exploration of these themes and topics. This is what Star Trek does really well. But there was some, like I said earlier, some weak points as well. So it's, you know, I mean, a lot of this is going to ride on how episode 2 does, and what episode 2 brings to the table might make me think differently about some of these things I've had criticisms of in this episode. Who knows? So anyway, that's my quick review of episode 9 of Picard season 1, season finale next week. Hope you're looking forward to it. I am looking forward to seeing where it goes. Thank you for watching. Look, keep safe out there, everyone. Obviously, I'm recording this is around the time of coronavirus. Everyone is self-isolating. I'm working from home. My child is off school. There's, you know, everyone's being told to not go out as much as possible. So please, you know, listen to the advice and stay in your homes as much as possible and all that jazz. Thanks for watching. I hope, you know, we can entertain each other in these times of isolation through videos and chats online and all those sort of things. So I will be responding to stuff in the comments if you want to talk. And I'll hopefully see you soon. Bye.